So, fellas, would you believe me if I told you communists were recently mass fired from managing a 3 million subscriber YouTube channel? These aren't just communists. Descriptively, they're postmodern, Western, post-queer, soy, neo-Marxists. Behaviorally, they're maximally feminized and pseudo-academically bloviating, which leads to a smug, dismissive, reductive perspective. Let's see how commies kill business. Wisecrack was founded in 2014 and produced various web series such as Thug Notes.
Animal Farm ain't just going off about one point in history. This book offering some legit truths about all humanity. Cause no matter who you with, power can corrupt your mind. And even the realest homies like Boxer are liable to start worshiping a crooked ass leader. But you know what's mad ironic, B? If you keeping it literal up in here, the revolution that went down at Manor Farm was actually legit. By definition, a revolution ends where it began, cause the porky players that started out getting fucked by their human oppressors are now the ones doing the fucking.
Interesting body of work. How did they become this 11 years later in 2025?
RFK Jr. has also questioned whether there is a link between these medications and school shootings, which experts have also shut down. Guys, if you're not American, this is how rad of a country we are. We have like the most school shootings anywhere, but the response to that isn't like, maybe we should limit access to guns. It's like, maybe we should take mental health care away from kids. That'll help stop the school shootings. Not the whole gun thing.
So over time, they have become brazenly and openly Marxist in their videos. In April of 2017, the man on the left, Michael Burns, and the Los Angeles meatwad on the right, Michael Luxembourg, both joined the team. How communist is LA meatwad? Well, he thinks baseball is the only anti-capitalist sport before they had a pitch clock because it ignored time, and time is an oppressive capitalist construct.
Do you feel the pitch clock challenges the spirit of the game in some way, or do you feel the pitch clock is a woke imposition by social justice warriors trying to make you have less fun?
The pitch clock destroys my favorite thing about baseball, which is baseball is the only, poetically speaking, anti-capitalist sport, because it's the only sport that's not subject to time. And now they've added a clock, which makes it subject to time. So the sort of poetic nature of a game that exists outside of linear time and the restrictions that capitalism imposes on like the body moving within the confines of the clock is now it's not true anymore. So
we're gonna focus on these two cows for the rest of the video, just to show you how they operate in the background and how it could have possibly led to their demise. Let's start with Burns' goodbye video on the last video so far ever made on the Wisecrack channel.
This is a tough announcement to make, but Wisecrack is done. At least in this iteration with this group of people. This is the last video that we're gonna be posting up here, and it's a bummer. Things like this happen. You never expect it to happen as soon as it does. But that's the situation that we're in. So we just wanted to take a second and say thank you all so much for being such an amazing audience, for giving us the space to make videos that we believe in and care about and think have some meaning to them. And a huge thanks to all of you that I feel like I've really gotten to know over the years.
So first of all, I'm just gonna play a video from a random episode from a couple of months ago, just to show you that he's just talking into a camera and they play clips over it. I don't know where this production team comes from of all these people that it takes to make a video. Is he need someone to write what he's saying and then someone to edit it? What, someone to color grade it? Someone to create their own personal music? Like what? How does it take that many people? He's just responding to videos. I mean, how many people work at this place? Turns out at the time of this recording, roughly 23 people work at Wisecrack. And they're not exactly pumping out a lot of videos per month.
Guys, today we're taking a break from our normally scheduled programming to show you something different, which is a live video we made in our Philosopher Reacts format in front of a kind of live audience here in our studio during our holiday fundraiser stream a couple weeks ago. So check it out. I hope you like it. Let us know what you think, and I'll see you next year.
So that was December 27th, last video of the year, and they've made like 10 or 11 videos in 3 months. In the months leading up to no longer working there, maybe 15 at tops 20 since the beginning of the year. So it looks like their output's a little bit low, but let's hear him pat his boy, Michael Luxembourg, aka LA Meatwad, aka Lux, for just being such a crazy out of the box guy.
Of course, the weird and chaotic and brilliant creative force behind so much of what we do, Michael Luxembourg. These are all people who are going to be available for work, and I think you would be really blessed to have them. We're going to put information for everyone down in the description. But here's them speaking for themselves.
Yeah, hello everyone. It's Director Lux. You know me from Wisecrack. It's also producer Henry. Henry, say hi.
Hi.
L.A. Meatwad has his head so far up his ass with Marxist theory that he just has to be experienced to really get a vibe check on him, okay? Listen to his voice and think of how competent of a person he could possibly be with having a high production output.
That's a good segue, because we're here to say temporary goodbye, actually. It sucks. The channel's not going to be putting stuff out for a while. We don't know what's going to happen, but things are currently derailed. So we're coming to you live from the Techno Poverty Studios to say we love you guys. It's been so fun making stuff for you, doing the stream, talking to y'all, being in the Discord, etc. Henry, any thoughts?
I mean, holy shit, dude, what the hell? Like,
that's, I think,
I hate how
yeah, we are victims of the media ecosystem and whatever. And that's a bummer. You tell people how much you've loved being their friend on Wisecrack for the past years.
Why does he talk like they're a gay couple? Henry, tell the people how much you enjoy them. He's not allowed to find anything masculine, fun, or funny. He is the most reduced, feminized version of a Marxist. This is how he talks, and he's like, he whimpers when he's done talking. Okay, we gotta make it through. Here we go.
This isn't the end of us making stuff. Stay tuned. We're gonna try to make some new things, and Henry and I are still alive. We're about to go shoot some new stuff. Right after this, that's gonna go on YouTube somewhere. So
L.A. Meatwad is the director at Wisecrack. Okay, dude. I guess I'm the director of my videos. There's such film snobs, and they want to be so important, but there's film critics for a reason. Good filmmakers are made through militant criticism. Let's take a little detour right now to show how little Burns criticizes L.A. Meatwad. He might not be able to convince you to support Marxism, but are you ready for him to convince you that L.A. Meatwad is an expert debater? They deleted this live stream, and you'll see why. It only exists, as far as I know, on Destiny's stream.
Now you guys know Lux. He's one of the main creative forces behind everything we do here at Wisecrack, as well as a creative force in the improv, comedy, wrestling, creative scene in Austin, Texas, and there's a lot of other stuff at our cool parent company that we like. And Lux, glad to have you here. I assume we're bringing him in, and wanted to talk to Lux about this because Lux is someone who is a very smart person. And Lux is smart in a cool way that I'm not smart in. And I'll tell you maybe one reason if we can interrogate my motives. A reason I've always been suspect about debate is because I'm bad at it. I'm someone that needs to step back and consider ideas, and I notice things. I don't know if any of you are like this, where you're in an argument with someone and you leave, and 10 minutes later you're like, I should have said. Well, Lux is the sort of person who says the thing right in the moment, and is also someone who's been a debate coach. Lux, you're here?
yeah, I certainly am.
Okay, so let's start with this, Lux. Tell me a little bit and tell everyone.
I feel like if I say anything, it's going to come across as really mean, so I'm not going to say anything.
Leave it to the WAD squad to have you side with Destiny, okay? This is a person that as a person isn't worse than Destiny, but as a person to listen to is much worse than Destiny. I know. Destiny is treating him like he's a special person, and he's like, maybe he's special. You know what? I was gonna say something, but let me listen to him. Maybe he's special, and I don't want to say what I think yet. As we all feel for the first time listening to L.A. Meatwad.
What is your background as someone that not just is like a smart dude, but that has formally participated in debate?
Yeah, so when I was in high school, I was, I think, the 6th or 7th ranked debater in America. When I was a senior in high school, and I would always tech them out with really interesting arguments, and he would win because he was clever. And we got to talking, so I'd be like, oh, you did a really good job answering this argument. And Alec would be like, well, it was a pretty cool kind of thing, kind of argument you guys came up with. We started just talking about that, and emailing arguments back and forth and chatting that way. And that's how we became friends.
This feels like mean. I don't normally call people liars. I don't believe this guy was ever a nationally ranked high school debate guy. I don't believe so. Like if Rob Norwood would tell me that, I would believe that immediately.
I can't wait any longer. Do you guys want to hear L.A. Meatwad debate Destiny about how debate is useless? You want to hear some clips from that? Because I got way too many.
Introduce yourself for all the people in chat.
Oh, we're streaming. Hi, I'm Lux. I'm the director at Wisecrack. I guess I'm a former award-winning debater and professional debate coach, although it's been several years since that was my job.
Well, that's cool. Wait, what do you mean by, where did you, like, for like college level stuff or other, like?
I was a top 10 high school debater for my junior and senior years of high school, and then I was the debate coach at Bard College or at least the debate coach at Bard College my sophomore, junior, and senior years in college.
Okay.
And I did assistant coach work with a couple of other teams, including the NDT and CETA winners at Emporia. My dogs are moving around. If I start going outside, am I allowed to smoke cigarettes on your stream?
You can do whatever you want.
Objectionable practice.
Yeah, go for it.
That rocks. I'm not going to say they didn't have an economic incentive because that's silly. Of course, they had an economic incentive to create those arguments because, like, fucking obviously, right? The whole Civil or Revolutionary War was effectively a project of economic incentives. But well, you guys are gonna get to see my kitchen because that's where my cigarettes are, I guess.
Dude, listen to how much of a space cadet he is. And listen to his voice. Like, he really try to do an impression of him, but not make fun of him. Just try to do an accurate impression of him that's not condescending. And the compilation starts now.
A lot of video essays are people just being like, here's what this argument is. That exists. Obviously, when there are ones that are innovative, I almost said that Britishly, innovative, I think there was a lot of parts where the historical perspective was reduced largely to, so I'm grabbing a ginger ale, it's hot outside, I live in Texas, it's like 96 degrees, undercuts, excuse me, too much ginger ale too fast. What I make later in that video is about performativity, the performative function of debate, and how I don't think it's good. Lacking a sort of structural analysis of power in a meaningful way, doesn't really engage with the historical formation of the organization. I did that in the video.
I genuinely love that man. But let's stop being silly. Let's take this a little more seriously. A man and his close personal friends, we'll see how true that is, lost their jobs. Some after 8 years of dedicated, loyal employment. And there's going to be a reoccurring theme here of asking the question, why don't they just start their own YouTube channel and why do they need a company? I'll be unraveling those answers for you.
So a couple months ago, I got laid off from my dream job, which was writing and hosting videos at a YouTube channel called Wisecrack. Now, getting laid off always sucks, but this one felt like an extra special gut punch because I was also served a cease and desist letter that threatened legal action, and I was denied severance that, to be honest, I very much needed. Now, did this happen because I was just a belligerent and disgruntled employee that wanted to hurt a big, or was I just a human person that really wanted to treat the audience that spent years supporting Wisecrack like they were human persons too?
We definitely can't believe anything he's saying about this situation. Oh, the big scary corporation, and I'm just a human person that's trying to treat other human people like human people, man, okay? You can never trust that guy. There's no objective take on what's happened. Everything is oppressor versus oppressed. And his oppression doesn't make any sense, which I'll show, but let's keep going.
Oh, by the way, if you haven't been here before, we don't know each other. My name is Michael Burns. I used to be a philosophy professor, and then I became a YouTube host, and now I'm here on this channel that has the same name that I have. But one thing I can tell you with 100% certainty is the channel was not shut down because it got too Marxist, you know? We didn't get woke and go broke.
Yeah, they totally didn't go woke and go broke. It's just that they became more and more Marxist and criticizing capitalism while benefiting from capitalism. But the company completely ignored that we were trashing capitalism, even though that's how we were making our money. Wasn't that? Because we were really working as hard as we could around the clock to make a dozen or two videos since the beginning of the year. Shut the fuck up.
Something that was really starting to affect me as a person over my last couple of years of working there. You know, a thing that was happening more and more at Wisecrack was that we would be making these video essays that I think were really good, that explored the horrors of labor and culture and life under capitalism, while at the same time we were working tons and not taking vacation days and really anxious about not making enough money or getting fired or all those sorts of things. You know, we were making videos about what capital does to us as workers while completely playing into the worst things that capital can do to us as workers.
I mean, as early as November of 2022, Reddit was saying, Wisecrack is basically openly Marxist at this point. As always, it's a slow process with the Marxists until it gets just a little too Marxist. I mean, you don't want a community of Marxists supporting your corporation, okay?
Oh, the simple and quite boring reason that we all got laid off is that Wisecrack's parent company, Enthusiast Gaming, wasn't making any money. So they decided that cutting the entire content department would be a good business move because they're businessmen. They're men of business, you know, smart guys, big offices, big desks, broad shoulders. You know, the sort of guys I would die for, the sort of guys I would never disagree with. I would say, in general, if there's one thing you know about me, is I respect business, I respect businessmen, business women, business kids and children, you know.
Well, that sounds a little insecure with the higher-ups, but go ahead.
But the intelligent and muscular men at the corporation did not see things that way.
Unwittingly homosexual.
I viewed as the right things to do out of respect for the Wisecrack community, reviewed by the brilliant business gods as an all-out assault on corporate profits. And that's because from the perspective of the well-fed alphas in the C-suite, well, people don't really exist.
He couldn't sound any more demoralized and emasculated.
And of course, this only benefits one group of people, and that is, of course, the barrel-chested business beasts that make big-time money moves from behind their big glass desks.
What a stinky little pussy dude. Why is old Graybeard over here? Your beard's going gray. Why do you sound like a middle school girl at the lunch table gossiping about the principal? I know all of them have a tendency to talk like bitchy teenage girls, but this guy is the queen of the passive-aggressive, just trying to be nice and just saying my feelings and how I feel, and I want everyone to be okay, and I want to make sure everyone's taken care of. Predator alert. This guy would make you feel bad about telling him to take it out of you. My dear lord, this is taxing. Who needs a meatball refresh? I need a meatball refresh.
Okay, first of all,
What other concrete thing would this apply to? What applied position is now in jeopardy because of this?
So, it. How do I say this in a way that is
Not retarded?
okay? So, totally. But like, I guess what I'm saying is, do you not? Okay, here's the way to put this.
Director Lux.
There are. Well, you could maybe tell me this better. Again, I think that was a framing device more than anything else, but that's neither here nor there. We can agree to disagree on that. Whatever. I also think I just got a package, so I hope no one takes it while I'm doing this. Surely they won't. We live in a fine neighborhood. I'm not a big rememberer.
Okay.
That's why I have a notebook. And unfortunately I wasn't taking notes on myself on the stream. But like, you know, I'm an improviser. It's just sort of goes away when you're done. That's why we pay big money for improv classes, baby. But yeah, no, so, okay, then I guess the question I have, just to circle back around to the original thing, is like...
I don't have anything else. I should just lay off the weed. I feel like you're probably smoking too much, but...
I haven't smoked weed in 3 days, I'll have you know. I've just had 7 concussions in my life.
Okay.
I love it. I love it. That's Director Lux. He's the director. What is he? Direct my head to fly backwards and wail in laughter? Like it's doing now. Oh no, he's directing me to do it. Director Lux is in the room with me. But you guys don't know what this feels like. I feel like someone stuck a big club up my ass, and it hurts. And I gotta find a way to get it out of there. Anyone else feel like that?
I feel like somebody stuck a big club up my ass, and it hurts. I've got to figure out a way to get it out of there.
Whew, thank God I'm not alone. Why don't they just make their own YouTube channel? Why do they need Wisecrack? He's been there for 8 years. What a normal capitalist person does is work at a place, especially in entertainment, and then you make your own thing, especially when you guys are pretty much making your own thing anyway. It's a Marxist critique of everything that's happening. So why not just start a channel and do that? What is the obstacle there? They love each other so much, right? And they love working together so much, so why don't they just make their own channel? And why does the audience not realize this? Would you like to know why? Because they're not allowed to have power. Because he knows if he has power, then he's gonna be the one that's targeted. So he has to find a way to get power while having no power. psychotic, isn't it? The Wisecrack YouTube channel is Michael Burns. It actually looks very similar to his own channel. He is the draw, and he knows this. You think he wants to share the profits off of his human person? Of course not. But as always, we need to give him money for the community. The audience doesn't pay the communist for the deeds. They pay the communist for talking about the deeds. Because Western Marxists don't want power. They want to endlessly critique power.
They don't want victory. They don't want power. They want to endlessly critique power. Because for them, critique is an important psychological defense against feeling impotent. Shaler described it this way.
It is peculiar to ressentiment criticism that it does not seriously desire that its demands be fulfilled. It does not want to cure the evil. The evil is merely a pretext for the criticism.
So of course Michael Burns just wants to collaborate. From his own YouTube channel with his name on it, where he's in control of everything, and who he collaborates with, and nothing is left up to a democratic vote. But he wants everyone to collaborate and get along and share ideas. Don't combine it. Don't combine your resources. No. Keep all of our resources separate. But talk about collaborating and how good that is.
This is why I want to make collaboration a cornerstone of what I'm doing right here on this channel. And this means both collaborating with you, my audience, both on YouTube and on Patreon, and with other folks on YouTube and in the digital media space more generally, and not just people that I agree with. You know, like I'm not gonna get fascist on here to talk about stuff, but I'm happy to have people that slightly disagree but share an overall trajectory. That seems fine with me. That seems okay. I've heard worse things than that.
I love how it went from I have no problem having somebody on that disagrees to I want someone on that only slightly disagrees in the span of 2 seconds. Really reformed that very quickly. But he could have been doing this the whole time. What's been stopping him from doing what he wants to do right now? He's been in the industry for 8 years. The channel's been talking about what he wants to talk about for the most part. Sorry if it's not everything you want to talk about, but this is why I hate the nice guy voice. He's Mr. Nice Guy, I care about everybody, so then pool everything together, revenue sharing, but he, like the government, wants the money first before he does it. He's like, first give me the money, I don't want to earn it. There's no such thing as merit under capitalism, okay? I'm just playing by their rules that I made up. No, give me the money first, instead of me actually cranking out content and showing a proof of concept. You know, I'm having these ideas, and I want money for my ideas now, and I want to collaborate. I'll talk to so many people. It's just, I need money now. How much more privilege could this person have to have already created a parallel leftist media ecosystem? They try and do this all the time, and it always fails. It's pathetic, but he's just such a nice guy. And as we all know, everything in the world of commie is either good or bad.
The people running things were good at business. We were clearly bad at business. So anything they did, I think, is good. I was a bad boy for making that final video. And I was a very bad boy for letting the Patreon members know that we were shutting down. And I was I was a horrible demon. I was a bad little guy. And thinking even longer term, like I would love to then offer that music to other creators to use in their videos so they could have good music and not bad music, because I don't like bad music. I like good music. Guess what I'm saying is, I want to be a good boss. You know, we talked about bad bosses before. I want to be a good boss.
So let's end it here. Of course he's gonna make himself a boss and do not seize the means of production to allow the workers an equal say in their labor. He's gonna be sending out 1099s just like Steven Crowder and Tim Pool. Now what I don't understand is what kind of business model was it for Wisecrack to have a Patreon that went to the company and then was distributed to the creators? Why wouldn't they just make their own Patreon so they get all the money and then they can split it? Who the hell has bosses and they have to wait to get their Patreon money from their boss? Isn't the whole point of Patreon for people to become their own bosses and get their own money? I mean, they live in Los Angeles, and they were somehow blindsided by this company model not being sustainable for the rest of their lives. Think about it. They were planning on working there for the rest of their lives. None of them had a backup plan. They were willing to choose to be wage slaves for the rest of their lives. Would anyone honestly want to have an even split of the revenue with LA Meatwad? The moral of the story is they want us all to engage in an economic practice that they themselves choose to never engage in. And that's why the helicopter rides are free, baby. Have a good one.